for a fire truck, which means that we won't be getting a fire truck. So we'll keep working on that. We'll keep working on setting aside some funds for a new fire truck and also on some additional grant money. The other issue has to do with the SAFER grant, which we already have. That's a grant from FEMA, I believe, and it deals with recruitment and retention and training of volunteer firefighters. And we're pretty much way behind where we need to be on that grant, particularly as far as there's an element in that grant that requires us to hire a recruiting and retention coordinator. I think pays for them for 3 or 4 years. I can't remember which. We put in our estimate part-time contract type employee for 20 hours a week. And we've had some challenges there. They were also supposed to help us develop a marketing and advertising plan to recruit people as well as a retention plan. So going to have to really start looking at new alternatives on that. I'm going to work with Johnny and the folks at the fire department on doing that. And that's about all I've got on the fire department. Anybody got any questions or comments? Okay. Library, Jennifer?
Okay. We're still on track with the budget and everything. Staffing is good. We did have an estimate of 968 visitors to the library in the month of January. Keep an account, we were closed for 3 days for holidays and for severe weather and everything like that, so I think that number is pretty good. We also provided $47,067 of services to the community. That is actually up from last year, and as I said, with the snow days and being closed for holidays, that's pretty good. I'm proud of that. One thing coming up is on February 19th, we will have Riley Blackwell from ABC 3340 to come talk to our kids about weather. It is part of our homeschool adventures program. However, school is out that day. So we are really hoping that everyone comes out to see Mr. Blackwell. It will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're really excited to have him, that he is giving us the opportunity to learn about weather, severe weather and stuff like that, and we hope everyone comes out.
Have you invited the schools to?
I have not. I know that one of my staff members does send out emails pretty regularly. We have posted it, or we will post it on Facebook. You know, we're trying to get the word out.
All right, well, we can certainly help you with that if you want to. Now, what age group is targeted for this presentation?
All ages.
All ages, so from elementary school to high school?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, any questions?
I have one other question.
Okay.
So I got an email today from the Harrison Regional Library, and it had all of their stats like you, and naturally I kind of glossed over it, so I didn't pay a lot of attention to the numbers. Is that a subset of the numbers that they sent me, or is this something different?
This is something different. The numbers that Harrison Regional Library sent out, that is system-wide. We do have 13 libraries in the system, so the circulation, this is a monetary number. The circulation they give out is number of items. So this number is based on large print usually runs about anywhere between $35 to $55 per book. And so with each, that is added into this monetary number.
Okay. All right. You guys got any other questions for Jennifer? Okay, thank you. Environmental Services, Dale.
Well, I don't have a lot on mine. Everything's been going good. We had our new office assistant start. She's retired from Shelby County Development Services, so that's a blessing to help out with the planning and zoning. Then our new employee started the 29th of January, so he's in training mode with Chris. I'll give you a plan update right quick. So I talked to Dave, and our plant build has to be completed by 2026, our rehab. So hopefully Dave run into a little issues with the electrical drawings, so they're working on that. Hopefully it'll be out to bid by March. Hopefully we can start construction before June, maybe. Other than that, we've just been doing the routine maintenance on the lift stations, locating lines for new homes to be built in other areas of Columbiana besides the subdivisions. We still have some vacant land in Columbiana, so we got a couple that come down from Hoover, bought some property on Industrial Park Road, so we was out there locating that area. It butts up against Chelsea Road and Highway 40, Chelsea Road and Industrial Park.
So it's on the corner,
It's on the corner, so.
so it'll be residential.
Yes, it's zoned residential. So, but other than that, that's all I have.
Questions for Dave? Okay.
Is your new hire local, Dale? Not the receptionist, but the worker?
The what now?
Is he local?
He's from Clear.
I think that's what you told me, yeah. Community Affairs and Senior Services.
All right, so for community services, Cowboy Day is February the 24th. The Beautification Board will do their Arbor Day tree giveaway on March the 2nd from 8 till noon. And then, we'll talk about the rest of that. And then we're planning for Music on Main. That should happen every Friday night this summer, except for, of course, Liberty Day weekend and the weekend of the 4th of July. So we are making plans for that now. The Senior Center served 1,100 meals in January, and their trips for the month are a lunch trip to the Depot Deli and Grill, and that's in Helena, and then they're gonna go to the Comer Museum in Silicaga, to the Marble Museum. The Grand Hall rentals for February, Libby Liberty, is a program sponsored by Corley Ellis. It is a social studies program that teaches second graders all about how our government works. They were there on Friday. It's a really cool program, and hopefully they'll do that again next year at the Grand Hall. The chamber luncheon is this Thursday. The daddy-daughter dance is this Saturday. The Arts Council has their Mardi Gras fundraiser this month. CTEC has their Honor Society Awards. And then the Shelby County Arts Council they had Eric Essex this past weekend, their Mardi Gras fundraiser, and then Eda Peach on March 1st, and that's the Allman Brothers tribute band, so lots of stuff.
Okay. Any questions for Alan?
When's the Frozen play? The Frozen play, the Arts Council, they set a date for that?
Don't know. I'll find out.
And could you say it again about the social studies program?
It's called Libby Liberty. It's a program, it's a nationwide program, but it's Representative Ellis paid for it for our Shelby County schools. And they come in and like dress up as characters. This past Friday, they honored heroes. It's a really, really great program. But you can like Google Libby Liberty Foundation and find out all about it. But it's a great, great program.
Do they reach out to the area schools?
Yeah, so Vincent, Elvin Hill, Shelby, and Wilsonville schools met, all of the second graders from those schools came to the Grand Hall on Friday.
Okay.
And so the northern part of the county go to a different location.
Okay, well, I'm thinking about Columbiana Middle, you
Yeah,
know.
oh, look, they said, actually, she told me Friday that they have a new program for seventh graders that they've gotten a federal grant for, that they'll be able to implement next year.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, let us know, because we want that too.
So is the one that they're doing now just for
Yes,
elementary?
for elementary, it's only for second graders.
Okay,
It's a great program though.
but they will have it for older
Hopefully
kids.
for seventh graders next year.
Okay.
That's their plan.
Any other questions? That sounds like a good program. All right, board reports. So I know beautification board met.
Yes,
So-
and, Adelaide's already said that we have our Arbor Day tree giveaway, and we have some T-shirts for first comers, they get T-shirts. And, then our Easter Bunny tea is March 16th. We also have a request, that the crepe myrtle in front of Leaders be cut down because none of the trees are growing, it's making a mess, you can't, it's messing up the lights and all that, so we wanna try to just start clean with that, if you can get the guys to do that. Then I think Lisa sent an email with several items that, we'd like done, like the roses at the rec building need to be cut back. And,
So she didn't want them cut down, that was a
No, no,
question.
no,
She just
no,
wants
she
them
just
cut
wants
back
them trimmed
before
back.
they
Mhm.
bud.
yes, and, got some benches we want moved. And also, we've got plans to do new banners for Main Street, and we're in collaboration with, Main Street on that. So we wanna get some new banners for the summertime.
Will they
And
be
with-
the
Maybe
same,
with the infants on our music on Main,
will
so,
they be the same size banner?
yes, mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
well,
mounting
everything,
hardware on
yes,
the
we won't
top.
have to go through all that. And we're also gonna work on, we want to try to make the park, across from the elementary school, we wanna try to work on that, the front of that, making it more inviting, cause it's just kind of blah with just the fence there, so that's gonna be one of our projects we try to work on this year
Okay,
too.
so do you have some ideas on that yet?
Not yet, we can't decide what we want to do, but it's gotta be easy to take care of.
You mean on the inside of the fence,
Mm-mm,
outside?
mm-hmm. I know, that's what we gotta work on.
Okay.
So, any discussion from the council, any concern over removing the crepe myrtles on Main Street?
You're
It's just,
removing them
it's
or
just
trimming?
that, no, it's just that, one on South, we're not touching anything on North Main.
Yeah.
You know, because those work good, they're not in the way of anything. It's just that, the one at Leaders is just really kinda outgrown itself, so.
Blocking the view on the
It's,
road.
yeah, and it's like covers up the light, the lamp post there, it's just,
Have,
and it's a
have
mess.
you, has anyone talked to any of the merchants there that would have any objections to it?
No,
I think we
I
should.
haven't.
I think we should before we do that. So, I personally don't have any issue with, now, as I read her email, she wanted it cut all the way down. She wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah,
Now, we could cut it back too.
well, the only,
But again, whatever we do, I think we should sort that out
Okay.
with
We'll
merchants
ask
and make
them.
sure they don't have an issue with it.
did
It'll
you ever
probably
have any
come back.
comments from
Huh?
them?
It'll probably come
Oh,
back.
yeah, no, impossible to kill.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So, but anyway, that's good. The other thing she put on there was these, shrubs over here by this pocket park.
Yes.
On the
Mhm.
corner, and they are overgrown,
They
so
are.
we need to
They
address
need
And I
those.
guess you couldn't plant some from the Arbor Day trees, could be so big there, it wouldn't, that type of tree wouldn't work.
Arbor Day trees are about this big.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, as it grows, you
Well,
know,
that's what we're gonna think of, but we need, cause like, we've got one of them that's really pretty that we planted or the Main Street planted 2 years ago, and it really looks good, but the other one looks so sad. And then since the one was cut down in front of Susan's shop, we just wanna try to get everything,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of trees that
Start
they
up.
are, but there are other
They're crepe
towns that I've,
myrtles.
no, I'm not
Oh,
talking about
sorry.
these, I'm talking about other towns that have done a good job with trees in their downtowns and Main Street areas. Don't use crepe myrtles, they use something else.
Mhm.
You know, crepe myrtles have, depending upon the type,
Right.
they can have very invasive roots and tear up the sidewalks and things of that nature as well, so.
yeah, that's what I was gonna mention, the root. Yeah, that could be a bigger problem.
yeah,
In fact, we did have to take one down by just a Tish,
right,
because it had blocked up the sewer line there.
mhm,
And so, but I still think we should
okay.
at least advise the merchant there, which is, I guess the only one impacted would be Leader
Leaders.
Corner.
Mhm.
And they also own the flower shop next door, so,
Sasha owns that now.
oh, does she?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Anyway, good idea to talk to her too.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right, were there any other questions for Kim, any other board reports? Okay, this is a resolution to sign a grant agreement. This was I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham, I got an email, short notice, grant. I called Jesselyn Wilson at the Regional Planning Commission, asked her what kind of things we could use it for and what it would take to do it, and so I filled out the application real quick and we got it, $10,000. So this grant, I proposed to use it, you know, we have a plan and we had actually put it in our budget this year to do some of it for some upgrades to the alley behind West Main Street, and that's what I proposed to use this $10,000 for. But, so anyway, as usual, if they give you money, there are some criteria, you gotta do this, this, and this, so need a resolution authorizing me to sign that agreement.
So what does the $10,000 go for?
So there is a storage building behind Nancy Davis's building that's on city property that needs to be removed. And we learned that there is a bathroom in that building. And so if that building is removed, then the building that Nancy's trying to sell would not have a bathroom. And so I discussed it with the city attorney, and I said, would it qualify as an economic development project if we were to help restore that bathroom after we tear down that building? Because I said it's going to make it difficult for the owner to sell the property, and if those buildings are vacant on Main Street, that's detrimental to Main Street as a whole and the other businesses. And could we consider that an economic development project to do that? And he said yes, and so that's what I filled out the grant to do.
Being that's a private property though.
Yes,
We're not
it's still. You can still do things on private property if it has a public purpose, and economic development is a public purpose. So I ran that by the attorney before I filled the application out to make sure it would fit that criteria. And then, even on the grant itself, we have to tell them what it was for, and of course, their economic development, and they concurred with it as well, the Regional Planning Commission did.
Well, I think we need the grant. I ain't gonna try to get the grant. Now, I'd like to have more discussion after we approve it, or going down the thing to see, you just have a discussion of really what the specific purpose for that is. I mean, you've already mentioned the purpose, but I think some additional discussion would be some clarification on that. I mean, we need the grant.
We can clarify right now.
Well, I just don't, you know, I'm not opposed to the grant. I thought, did we mention a couple of weeks ago about maybe using this facade grant through Main Street or something? I remember that.
Main Street is changing their facade grant program.
Okay.
To where it's a grant program to do anything to help business owners do repairs and upgrades to the Main Street buildings. And so there's two options. The city says, and the grant criteria said, we could give the money to a nonprofit organization, and then they could give it out for an economic development purpose like this. Or, according to the city attorney, we don't have to do that. The city can give the money itself.
Would it cover, would that 10,000 cover the whole project?
So we went out, so the removal of the building is not part of it. Right. It's just the restoring the bathroom. And the bathroom is kind of like part of the building, and part of it was in the shed on the back. And so what we did is we asked for an estimate, and we got one quote, and it didn't meet the criteria because it needed to be itemized, this, and this. And so the estimate was $18,000, okay? And so what we did as a city, we went to, we came up with a bill of materials and an estimate of the labor. We used Department of Labor wage determination rates for Shelby County, Alabama, for the labor for, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, general laborers and all that sort of stuff. So we came up with a labor cost, and we came up with a material cost for it. And we actually came up with about $11,000. So the owner's gonna have to deal with the other part of it. So, you know, we would assist the owner with this as an economic development grant so that they can sell their building. The building is subdivided, and so it doesn't have, it won't have a bathroom, an operable bathroom on that side, if we don't do that. And the attorneys also said, that, although the potential of it happening was very slow, since the city is gonna remove the building, that, you know, the city could potentially be sued for, you know, taking that away, even though it's on city property. It said it's highly unlikely, and I've spoken to the owner about it, I don't expect that to happen. But anyway, this is, so they said it would fit the economic development criteria, as did the Regional Planning Commission.
To that point, I'd like to see something discussed before we tear down that building, that there won't be any litigation involved in it though.
Well, there will be no litigation involved as far as tearing down the building, because I've discussed it with the owner of the building, but, of the Main Street building. That building is on city property.
Sure, I understand that, yeah.
And so they don't have the right for it to be there. And when we did our plans for the Economic Development Academy, we talked about removing that building, and it's been in the plans for a couple of years now where we've talked about removing that building. And again, the owner doesn't have any issue with removing the building itself. The issue is we learned about the bathroom issue. We didn't realize it was inside where the building attaches to the private property, where the building that's on public property attaches to the private property.
Well, yeah, that was my question in terms of the private property versus public funds. So you seem like you've answered that. I forgot my train of thought. Because if that bathroom is torn away, that building cannot be sold, from my simple mind.
It would be difficult. Now, you know, the building is partitioned,
Yeah,
okay? It's one parcel. And she cannot sell the individual parcels. She has to sell the whole thing. But most everybody who's been looking at it wants to keep it divided.
Right.
And be able to use both halves. It would render one half of it potentially unusable by not having a bathroom, and therefore she would be challenged to sell it. And because we want to keep our Main Street occupied, because it's good for the town, that was the
And
economic
she still has
development.
to upgrade the building, the whole
Pardon?
building before she can sell it though.
Not necessarily. It depends on what the purpose of the building is once it's, what the user uses
That's
it for.
changed then.
And again, she doesn't have to do it. The owner, whoever buys it would be the one, if they repurpose it, would have to do it.
yeah, like I said, I don't mind the grant, but I'd like before that process takes place, can we have additional discussion just to make sure we're.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with, I like that, for that to happen. Yep. Because I agree, I mean, if that building's obsolete without a bathroom, then that's only gonna hurt the city in the long term, I
Right.
think. It depends on what goes in there, I mean, that's just my thought.
Right.
But yeah, additional discussion would be good if we can do that.
Okay.
I introduce resolution 022401, it's authorizing the mayor to sign a grant contract for economic development, ADG program.
I'll second.
Okay, could you call roll, please?
Councilmember Lilly,
Yes.
Mizell,
No.
Rustin,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda is sign an agreement with Brody Burgess LLC. This is a group of independent filmmakers that are doing a short film, and they need a courtroom for their film, and they want to use this council chamber for that purpose. Once again, I bounced this off of the city attorney to make sure that, you know, we've got a private entity wanting to use a public facility, would that be a problem? And they determined that, no, we could do that, but that we should have, approval of the council to do it, and that's the purpose of this right here. They will be in here for 6 hours on one day, and I don't remember the day.
Says the
February
26th.
26th.
Oh, it's on there, okay, so on the 26th. And I think that's a Friday, is it? Anyway, the day that they're here, I told them to make sure that they will be in here and they wouldn't be out interfering with any activity that goes on in City Hall. So we don't have any other activities in here on that particular day.
Well, it's funny that I recognize the name on this, and obviously his dad's pretty well known, but he does some pretty extensive work. If you're familiar with like his videographer stuff, they did the Sidewalk Film Festival in Birmingham, so he's pretty good at what he does. But I think just the waterfall effect on this would be beneficial to where if he did something here and he liked it, he'd be the type of guy to film a whole movie here.
Yeah.
So I think it's a cool thing.
And so that was the reason why we felt like that it would meet the quote public purpose
Yeah,
criteria.
I think it's very
If you
cool.
will.
I'll introduce resolution 022402, authorizing the mayor to sign a location agreement with Brody Burgess LLC.
Second.
Okay, if you'll call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lilly,
Yes.
Mizell,
Yes.
Rustin,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Phillips,
Yes.
Merriman.
Yes.
On that, Mayor, on that grant, is there a time to use those funds?
I don't know, but there usually is, okay? So, the only, so the Regional Planning Commission gets federal grants, and that's where that's the source of this money, it's a federal grant. And there usually are time limits tied to that. I don't recall there seeing a.
12 months.
Was it 12 months? Okay. Okay, any other city business? All right, ooh, that came out pretty small, mayor's report. All right, so, speaking of grants, we submitted our application for the 2024 Rebuild Alabama Act for a grant for repaving projects in the city for 2024. Hopefully, we get a quick turnaround. As you know, we applied last year because of the problems that we had on Center Street, but it took so long. We were hoping we would get the award in no later than April, which it comes out in 4 tranches, I think, over the fiscal year. And we didn't, but we ended up getting awarded in the last tranche, but by that time, we had already fixed Center Street, and so, because we couldn't just keep putting it off. And you can't get the money after the fact, so if you've already expended the funds. So we believe that by resubmitting that we will be favorably received this year, since we had to decline it last year. So hopefully we will. We put $250,000 in our budget, and that's what we've requested for this project for street paving. Now there's another thing that I put on here that doesn't have to do with the grant. And that's, some folks have talked to me about the need for repairs on Nelson Walker Road. And Alan and I drove up there, and there are a lot of potholes on the road, and we don't have, that's not in the repaving plan for this year. And most of the road is in decent shape, but because of the potholes and their location, there are places to where it kind of takes it down to one lane, if you will. And so we are going to use our street maintenance budget, and we're going to patch those potholes, and then we'll take a look at the road and see if we can't put it, find out what we think the timing should be for a complete repaving of it. The Alabama legislative session begins today, and Governor Ivey is giving her State of the State address this evening. There's some interesting things on the agenda for the legislature. One of them has to do with processing of absentee ballots and concern by those who are putting it forward about ballot harvesting. I don't know when that'll come up for a vote, but another thing has to do with an education savings account. There's a lot of talk about school choice and charter schools and things of that nature. And so these education savings account would allow people to be able to save money for those sorts of things. I have an opinion about that, but I'll keep that to myself. But a lot of people may have opinions about those things. But those are two of the major items that I think are on the legislative agenda this session, and I'm sure there'll be others. But, you know, I think it's a good idea for folks to go, you know, find out what's on the agenda and let your representatives know what you support and what you don't support. Thursday, February the 8th, is the Chamber Connections Luncheon. It's here at the Old Mill Square in Grand Hall. Those are typically good events, and I think Jefferson State Community College is doing a presentation at this event. February 19th is Washington's birthday. That is a federal and a state holiday, but it's not a city holiday. City Hall will be open. February 21st is the first quarter of calendar year 24 Shelby County Mayors Association. This meeting is going to be at the hosted by Scott Brakefield, who's the mayor of Alabaster, and it's going to be at their new police department facility. So he's wanting to show that off. February 23rd, a Washington update with Congressman Palmer. He does this quarterly with all the mayors in his district. He had to cancel the last one because that's when they were going through the Speaker of the House stuff, and he had to stay up in Washington. Allie's already mentioned, and probably will mention it again, about Cowboy Day on the 24th. And then we have a chamber-sponsored State of the Community luncheon that I'll be giving that presentation, and that's on February the 28th. Questions? All right, announcements.
All right, Cowboy Day is February the 24th. The Cattlemen's Rodeo is the 23rd and the 24th. So you can get tickets for the Cattlemen's on the Cattlemen's website. You can get rodeo tickets. The Beautification Board Arbor Day tree giveaway is March 2nd. Their Bunny Tea is the 16th of March. And then we are planning for the summer and all the fun things, music on name bands, Liberty Day bands. If you have ideas, send them to us.
Best
Question?
holiday of the year.
Questions for Al?
No, but there's I saw before I came in here, Justin Tish is having an event
Yes.
Friday night.
Friday
I
night.
think they're having one Saturday too, but Friday night, if you like live music, the guy, he plays the Bruce, he plays the piano, he is really, really good. So if you're free Friday night to go hang out there, he's really good. So
Is he playing the piano?
I think so. I think that's all he plays.
So they're having to move a piano in, or is it gonna be like an
Keyboard.
electric
Keyboard,
keyboard?
yeah. So he is really, really good.
All right, anything else? All right, it's where we open it up for public comments, questions. Yes, sir. Right here first.
Good evening. I'm Philip Busby. I live at 223 Briarwood Drive. My family and I moved here last April. I want to touch back on the last council meeting discussion about the proposed moratorium that was given by Ryan Talley. We moved here from Calera. Mr. Rustin made reference to two people in his neighborhood that moved here on account of some chaotic things. One of them's me. The other friend is Matt Cockrell. He was gonna be here, but he's got strep. But anyway, we moved here. I've been there for 20 years. Served the city for 20 years in some form or fashion. That was very hard to leave there. And we had several options to look at, because I still had two children in high school. One had just graduated. We looked at Pelham, we looked at Chelsea, Helena, several places. We chose here because it was more of a quaint town. Everybody we called and talked to loved it, loved the schools, love the small town feel, which is what we enjoy. You know, the I-65 corridor, ever since I was a kid, opened up out of Birmingham, built up Hoover, Pelham, Alabaster, Calera, now it's getting into Jemison. That main artery with beach traffic, lake traffic, it creates a tremendous amount of economic development just on that alone. So some of the words I heard last meeting about rooftops, I heard that a lot. You gotta be careful when you talk about rooftops. Because rooftops can trample your city. Now, there's nothing wrong with growth, in my opinion, but it's up to this council to make sure it's healthy, balanced growth. It's too one-sided in Calera, I'll just tell you right now. There's no balance. I pushed for it for years. Starter homes everywhere. And, you know, I think Ryan was talking about an R3 moratorium. There's absolutely no harm in a moratorium placed by this council. You have the right to do it as long as you put a timeline on it. We did it in Calera. It's a protective measure for you guys to beef up your zoning for that R3. Me personally, I'd do away with it altogether if it's causing that much trouble. You did the RSD zoning, done away with that, I think, in '09. But it's up to what this city wants to do. Developers, they're seeing things out here, and if they can find some unzoned land, get it zoned their way, they're gonna do it. And they'll do it, and they'll promise the world to you. But they'll do what they want first, and take their millions, and they're gone. And that's just what I've seen from my experience. And I'm just letting this out and be known. You guys have, or we, I live here, we have something special. You better grab a hold of it, because it'll get away from you in a hurry. And it's up, this council is the governing body of this city. You have more rights than you think you do, and power. So does the Planning and Zoning Board. I think Ryan presented some new ordinances. He said he gave them to Miss Charlene. Did everybody get any of that? I mean,
I
new
got the
ordinances?
presentation. Did you send out the ordinances too?
I thought I sent that out.
Ryan, I think, is a very well-rounded guy in that department. I would trust him. We really need to look at that, in my opinion. And if you was to pause on the R3, even if you did a 6-month moratorium, you could either drop it in between if you need to, or even extend it, as long as you put a timetable. But again, it's a protective measure to help protect the city while we're adjusting zonings that are 60-something years old. If you need a reason, that's a pretty good reason, in my opinion. So, just wanted to share that from last meeting. Thank you.
Any questions? Comments? All right, well, appreciate that. Yes, sir.
My name is Porter Jones, and I'm a resident on 221 Nelson Road. And I heard the discussion about the near plan of fixing the road to Bessie. But the road down that northwest end, no ditches are closed up, reason why we have so much water going across the road. If you go in there and patch it, that'll last for a while. But the problem is not so much of that. The problem is those ditches got to be unstopped. That's a low area. That road get not just the resident traffic, but it get a lot of traffic from other people too. That road there is just about busy as County Road 47. Going when you come off 47, coming back southwest, you got a chunk of pavement out by my driveway, by the city meter there. You got another chunk up where Miss Chatner lived. Now that road hadn't been surfaced overall over 30 years, because I've been over there.
Nelson Walker.
Nelson Walker Road. That road was first surfaced when Bob Faulkner was in office. And that's back in the 80s. So, you know, we would appreciate if you patch, but patch is not gonna fix the problem,
Right.
really. It needs resurfacing, really, all the way. That's one issue that we have.
Okay.
The next issue is the speeding of the traffic. You got pedestrians walking over there, they walk over there at night, daytime. We don't want something to happen, then we're gonna try to beef up the, protection. We need to eliminate that. Somebody, granddaddy, somebody dad, or somebody uncle, you know, they're not necessarily gonna have on light clothes. But you look at it and say, well, they should have on light clothes. A dead man don't talk, dead woman don't talk. So I appreciate what the city's doing. Y'all got a nice job ahead of you. And I know sometimes things get forgotten, but we don't wanna feel that you'd have kicked us to the curb and forgot about us. I don't feel that y'all gonna do that with the budget that I see that you're saying that's gonna come in. So we appreciate what you do for now. But we want that road resurfaced if you can in a way possible. Because that road brings in a lot of revenue. You got the school buses come across there, you got the garbage people come across there, you got Brown Buster, which is up, come across there, you got Prime come down there. It's a lot of revenue come off that road regardless. Plus the ones that live over there. So we appreciate what y'all do. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that. The patching is not intended to be a permanent fix. We know it's not gonna last, but since it's not budgeted for this fiscal year, we were gonna do that. And then we can, you know, address it, hopefully next fiscal year, so that, and we may have to end up, it's a pretty long road.
It's less than a mile, sir.
Pardon?
That road is less than a mile.
I understand, but, you know, our little town doesn't have a whole lot of money, and most of the residential streets that we pave are much shorter than that. So what I was gonna say is, we might have to do it in like half one year and half the next year, but we'll sort all that out. And you're welcome to come back and talk to us again and see where we are. Okay?
So,
All right, so like I said, it's not in the budget for this year, and our budgeting process starts typically in July, and the fiscal year begins in October. So this fiscal year will be done in September. But just kind of going back, you know, if we don't get our $250,000 grant, we may have to give up on some of the other stuff that we've got in our plan for budgeting. I'm optimistic that we're gonna get that grant this year, so.
When, y'all go back out, can you look at the ditches too?
Yeah, I did not look at the ditches, so we'll certainly do that.
At least clean those out, it would help.
Yeah. I'll also look at the storm drainage study that we just had done, and I'm not sure that area was included, because I think it was more into the core part of town, so, but I'll check it.
Mr. Jones, when you mentioned traffic, did you intend to have traffic slowing down there, or?
the speeding of the traffic, sir, the speeding of the traffic, you got pedestrians walking across there, and if I'm running real fast, I'm just saying myself, if I'm running real fast and run up on someone coming up over that hill, I can't see them until I get up on them. But if I'm driving at a normal speed, I can stop.
Yeah.
But a lot of that traffic come over through there, they run just like they on 47.
Yeah.
Is the speed posted?
You have speed posted, but then you know what? People don't obey those
Yeah, and
signs.
what's it posted, what's the posted speed there?
I think it's what,
25?
20,
15.
25, somewhere 15 or something there, right.
Okay.
Well, the reason I asked that, because the man in the room, he could probably help you with that, chief, but they do a lot of patrolling, so I mean, that's why I wanted to ask that question, is that you trying to deter speeding traffic through there? If that's the case, then.
That's the case, the
Yeah.
speed traffic going through there.
Is it more of a problem at nighttime, the speeding?
Sir, it don't make no difference. I'm up early in the morning, I hear them zooming across the road.
Well, unfortunately, the problem is that we don't want anybody to get hurt. But
No, we don't.
to your point about kids and even on these main streets out here, I've seen people just stop signs out from a bus, car goes right past it. So what we don't want is a kid to get hit on that street,
That's right.
and then you're gonna have an awful situation. So the man's in the room, so he knows now that's why I wanted to ask that question.
But I appreciate you asking, because, you know, somebody will be without a dad or a granddad or whatever the case may be, you know, and we like to try to prevent those things
Right.
before they happen.
The reason I asked the question about the timing is we've had, the state has done some traffic studies for us on the state roads, which is just 25 and 70. And when you look at the data on those studies, that's where the excessive speed. 80% of the people who exceed the speed limits in those traffic studies are usually late at night or very early in the morning because there's not a lot of traffic there, and they can just kind of zoom on through. So, and that helps us to know, with our patrolling, to know when, as well as where we're, again, small towns don't have a great big police department, so we can't be everywhere.
And I think we're all guilty of speeding a little bit on the cut through road.
It is
I mean, I
cut
think
through
that's
road.
really,
47 to 37, what they call egg and butter.
Right,
that's right.
okay.
Very good, thank you.
Well, I appreciate that input. Yes, sir.
I know you talked about patching the holes. Can we dig them holes out before because just coming down there putting asphalt in them, it'll be
Yeah,
out
we'll do
in
that.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll do
If we
that
can dig
because
them out, it
you're
will
right.
last a
The
while.
base in there has got to be
It's got to be
adequate
dug
to
out.
be able to support the patch. You're absolutely right. So they'll do that.
One more question.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
My name is Salome Madison, and I live at 145 Bowie Road. And I have to agree with what he's saying. On Bowie Road, have some of the same issues. To begin with, the road is too narrow. Now, I have been there for 30 plus years, okay?
Mhm.
So I've seen, I've heard, I know about the road, about has been done, and what has not been done. I noticed you said that improvements basically weren't in the budget, okay?
Well, not for
Not for him,
Reservoir
right,
and not for Bowie either.
right. But I'm gonna be coming back here, I'm gonna be coming back and I'm gonna be coming back. So in July, I'm gonna remind you of this.
Well, great.
I understand you can't do anything right now, but what I'm asking is that some funds be put in the budget for July. Bowie Road has grown in the last 30 years. When I moved there, there were 2 homes on that road. Now we have over 20, okay? We have older people, we have children, pets. We need the city to pay a little attention to our area to make it safe. So I'm asking that if you would consider us in your next budget, because I'm going to be here to annoy you about it. I'm going to be here to
Well, good.
remind you of it.
That's good because the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
I'm going to squeak a lot, very loud.
So let me tell you, we looked at Bowie Road. I did with Alan Reynolds, who's our public service director. And there are some challenges there because there is a very narrow public right-of-way. So being
Right.
able to widen that road is going to be a problem unless we could acquire property from the landowners. Now,
Right.
some of the homes, there are a few obstacles, if you will, that are in the way. There are electrical poles, there are light poles, there are various things that are kind of right there close to the road, which would again make it difficult for us to acquire that right of way. And so it means it would be a utility easement, most likely with Alabama Power or somebody. So there are some challenges, and I think together with the residents of Bowie Road and our Public Works Department, and probably with Alabama Power too, we're gonna have to sort out the rights of way to be able to widen that road. Because right now, I'm not sure it can be widened. But we'll look at that.
you're not sure it can be widened because of the challenges, or because of the funds, or because of?
All of the above, really. I mean, but, you know, right now, we don't have an adequate right-of-way to be able to ride the road, which means we would have to purchase a right-of-way from, or an easement from a property owner. And so they would all have to be on board for that. The other part of it would be, again, the location of some of the power poles, and I'm going from memory from a few months ago when I went out there and looked at this and discussed it with Alan. Some of them are very close to the road, and again, that's most likely gonna be an Alabama Power easement, and it would be a challenge for us to get that from them. So, you know, those are the challenges that we'll have to work through with Alabama Power and the property owners, et cetera, you know, so we can make a plan on how we can do that.
Now, I had, this has been several years ago, the previous administration, a petition that each one of the landowners signed that gave the city permission to widen, expand, or whatever it was they needed to do to that road in order to make it safe. It went nowhere. That's why I'm standing up here right now.
Well, again, if we can get the rights of way, and you know, that's the first challenge for us, so. And if you've got that petition and the property owners are okay with that, then that helps, okay? But at the end of the day, a legal document has to be written up to give us that easement to do it.
Okay. If it's anything I can do to assist in that, I will go to each home. If you give me that petition and talk with these people, whenever you get ready to start working on this, please contact me, and I'll do your let work as much of it as that I can.
Well, we can maybe set up a meeting or some sort of work session with the residents out there, and again, I'll have to get all the information on the right of way and the property, and we can start that process.
Ms. Madison, I think the easy part of the process is obviously taking money out of it. The easy part of the process is fixing that road, right? But the difficult part of that process is gonna be dealing with Alabama Power. I think that's the.
I think so.
You can give the city the easements, and we can do the property, and we can say the money's in the bank and all that stuff, but just having conversations with Alabama Power and moving poles and utilities, that's gonna be the hurdle. Now, it may not be, but that's just my opinion, so, but we can.
They're probably not gonna move poles, but again,
Yeah.
which means, like I said, the easement may have to go over this way, and now it's gonna take more of somebody's property. We'll sort all that out. We're all speculating right now.
Yeah, but I just know Alabama Power can be sticklers for that type of stuff, but
They're challenging.
That's gonna be the challenging piece of it all, so,
We do have a good representative from Alabama Power that we work with, so she's very helpful.
Okay. All right, I really would appreciate y'all helping us out. After 30-something years, like I said, we need something done.
So we'll try to get it done before another 30 years goes.
Thank you.
And same thing with the road too. Yes, sir.
I also live on 145 Bowie Road. You know, they got a dog on, but they let their dog run rapid, they get it for garbage on 145 Bowie Road.
So dogs are getting into the trash, is what
Yes,
you're
sir.
saying. And this is one of the residents there who has the dog?
Yes, sir, on 145 Bowie Road.
Well, we don't have an animal control department, so our animal control department's right there, the police department. And so, yeah, he can talk to you and tell you what we can do as far as controlling animals. It's somewhat limited, you'd be surprised. Okay, the main thing we can do is try to find out who the owner is and have a chat with the owner.
do you know the owner, sir, of the house?
Well,
Or you know who
You
the
don't
dog
have to
is?
say it here, but.
You don't have to say it, but do you know who the
But
dog
do
is?
you know
and all that?
who owns the dog? Okay, well, that's a start. Okay. All right,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Does an easement have a time frame or a time limit on it?
Well, they can, But typically, public roads and public utility easements are forever.
Oh, okay.
So,
The reason I'm asking because at one time I was the council person for that district. And I turned in some information here at City Hall to the late Hillary King. And I don't know where that information might be. That's why I was asking if it had a time frame.
well, unless an easement document was prepared and the property owners would all gotten revised deeds letting them know that there was an easement through their property, then the answer is it probably was not done. Now, you need, the information that you gave to Hillary, whether or not that still exists anywhere, I have no idea. We can certainly try to find out. When was that?
I served 3 terms, so it was in that period of that time frame. And that was probably from 12 up until, I think it was 2012 up until whatever 3 terms would have been.
Yeah, I don't like doing public math either. So,
Because
okay.
it would have been surveyed and then he would have had to have it probated.
Yeah. So, yeah,
But once that process is done, the easement stays in the easement forever, right?
well, you can, as I have learned, because I've got some easements in that alleyway, behind that alley, behind those buildings there. It depends upon the way you write the easement. But if it's going to be, a public road forever and ever, or if it's gonna be a power line forever and ever, then it's gonna be an infinite time period as far as the easement's concerned.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
$10,000 that we gonna use on the private property, can we use it on the Nelson Walker Road?
I'd have to give the money back to, we'd have to give the money back to the Regional Planning Commission because they approved it for the one project. Okay. That's kind of the way, the nature of grant money. You have to specify exactly what you're
On
gonna use
private
it for.
property, in this case?
Well, in this case, it is being used on private property, and the only time we can do anything on private property with public funds is if it serves a public purpose, and that's why we went through the city attorney to determine whether or not this met that public purpose objective. And the public purpose objective was economic development. We have a lot of vacant stores on Main Street. We would like to get businesses in them to help stimulate the community. And if we have buildings because they're either dilapidated or don't have public facilities in them and things of that nature, then that becomes a problem. And so that's what made it a public purpose, in the opinion of our city attorney.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I have to ask a question. What is the time frame, and I may be getting off on something else. What is the time frame for the T-Mobile, hometown, funding grant? What's the time frame?
When we have
for
to
that?
submit the grant application, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'll find out and I'll let you know, Shirley. But we probably have a few weeks left to do that, okay? I don't think, it's not a long period of time, but
And I don't remember when it is either, but, and it lists, there's only specific things that you can apply for it for. I cannot remember what they are right now, or how long we have to do that, but,
And that's to get internet in certain areas, is that right?
No.
It's
no,
from, it's
no,
a
this
T-Mobile
was-
grant.
It was, one of the things they talked about is, recreation facilities and things like that.
Oh,
Mhm.
And,
Oh, yeah,
and I said, well, I sent it out to you guys and said, any ideas on this thing? And,
'Cause,
we had talked about the Wallace Campbell facility. Now, again, that's private property, where the old building was at in the property. But, so, if we're gonna put it there, and then as we talked about it, that parking lot, as state would have it, the way the city limits, it's not in the city limits, so I can't do it there. So we'd have to have a public purpose arrangement, and if we're gonna do it, on private property, then the city would have to have some sort of agreement to where it would be open to the public for a substantial period of time.
So I just want y'all to know, you heard that parking lot is not in the city limits at Wallace Campbell, down there. Huh?
Part of it,
Part of
it's,
it is.
we can look at, it. There's little pieces of it that are and that aren't.
Yeah.
But most of the parking lot's not in city limits.
I'm sorry, one more question. What's the time frame on fixing the holes on Nelson Walker Road?
Well, as soon as possible, so
And they gonna dig them out?
I will discuss that with the director, and based on, my conversations with him on other patches that we've done, that's what we've done. Dale, you've been involved in a lot of it
Oh,
with,
yeah.
sewer
So
repairs.
usually what they'll do, they'll bring a milling machine in, mill all that out. They won't just come out and put asphalt.
Now, we're gonna do this
That's
ourselves,
what
we're
they
not
do.
gonna contract it.
Yeah, so this will be a contract, it won't be, it won't be the city employees doing it. So
No,
they-
no,
It will
we
be.
are going, the city is gonna do it, we are not going to contract it out,
For real?
yes.
They've been doing that. They've been just filling.
So it won't be milled, but we've done it on, we did it on Mooney Road, I think, and some other places where there was some severe
I was
potholes.
just thinking how to do my patches over my sewer.
I understand, but again, for budgetary reasons, we don't have a lot of money in our budget for street repairs, and so I wanna get it done, and see if we can't hold it over until we can get the road paved. So,
But cleaning out those pipes may prevent it being eroded to where until we can get it paved, to the earlier point, so.
you talking about the drainage ditch?
Yeah, it's creating,
Ditches,
yeah.
yeah.
Can I ask another question?
Mhm.
Sort of opposite as what y'all are speaking of, but are there any plans anytime soon for Bowie Road to, for the sewer to come to Bowie Road? Because we are in the city limits, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So as far as the sewer stops just right past Nelson Walker where that church fell in, the roof has.
Uh-huh.
So that's the last property that was on city sewer when they did, and I think Miss Frida might have been here when we put it up Nelson
I
Walker.
was.
And, so that's where the sewer stopped at right there. So and that's something we can definitely get with our grant writer, to extend the sewer into some more neighborhoods. So we're not gonna be eligible to do it this budget, but, we can look into it next budget.
So we have done some sewer expansion, if you will, in the past using, again, a federal grant. It's called the Community Development Block Grant. The money goes to the state, and then we have to go to the state to get it. Now, we just recently Shelby County became what's called an urban county. And so they now administer CDBG, Community Development Block Grants, for the municipalities within Shelby County, but it's a much smaller pool of money. I think the biggest grant you could get under CDBG in the past was $450,000. They may have increased it to $500,000.
I think it was 5.
And, but the amount of money that the whole county's gonna get, as an urban county now is a little over $1 million. So, it's gonna be, I think because of that, it might be challenging for us to get $400,000 and $500,000 grants, which is what we need for projects like that. But doesn't mean that we can't, because the criteria for getting them is need, okay? And, I like to think maybe we might be a little bit more needy than some of the other communities in the county, so. All right, good discussion. Anything else? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.